Now is the time for the paper 2 of 2017 EMATS. Let's start. First, solve the inequality of this. Okay, so you can actually cross multiply the numbers here, even though it's actually inequalities. So the 3 multiply to the left, and the 5 multiply to the other side, giving you this. Expand everything, so I got 3x plus by 12 greater than equals to 10 minus by 5x. Simplify everything to the same side, so you get 3x plus 5x greater than equals to 10 minus 12. Divide the 8 away, then it will get negative 2 over 8, or that is negative 1/4. Okay, next question. This is a fraction, plus and minus. Okay, so let's take a look at the denominator. You must have the same denominator, okay, in terms of plus minus. So they are actually quite similar. What I need to do is to multiply the first fraction by a 5 minus 2y. So then they have the same denominator. Now that they have the same denominator, you can put them together under the same denominator, 5 minus 2y bracket square. Giving us, the first is 10y, because 2y times 5, minus by 4y square, minus by 3y. Okay, this one is a little bit unclear. 4. So then I'll get negative 4y square plus by 7y, and then divided by this. Now, make it as a habit that once you actually solve this question, try to factorize this. Okay, whether you can factorize it immediately or just want to do it mentally. Because sometimes you might be able to factorize and cancel some more on your denominator. Of course, that's not the case here. I don't think you can cancel the 5 minus 2y on the denominator by any means. Okay, even you factorize the numerator, won't happen. Next, question C. I'll keep the first fraction as it is. There is a lot of indices here. And then the second one, I make it to a multiplication and flip the numbers. So then I got this divided by 3h5k. Alright, so let's do the cancellation here. There is quite some numbers that I can cancel. No, it's actually only a few. h cubed and h5 becomes h squared. Okay, 5 and 10 becomes a 2. 3 and then the 18 becomes a 6. I don't see anything else. So 6 times 2 is 12. J cubed times by j square becomes j5. And then k cubed times by k is k4. And then don't forget the h square. Alright, that should be the answer. Simplify this. Okay, power of negative 1 over 4. I like the power to become positive power. Okay, my preference. So I can just flip the number inside and the power become positive now. V power of 12 divided by 16 t power of 8. Okay, power of 1 over 4, I mean then I can multiply it to each of the numbers, the alphabets there. I got v power of 3 divided by, now 16 power of 1 over 4, you can key in calculator, or if you know power of a fraction means that you are going to root them. Root 4 of 16, you'll get a 2. Okay, again you can key in calculator lah, just key in 16 power of 1/4. Whereas for the t, power of 8 and then power again, you multiply them, you got t power of 2. And that's it. And finally, again, make the same denominator. 2 bracket x plus 4, 3 bracket x minus 2. Now they have the common denominator of bracket x minus 2, bracket x plus 4 equals 1. Yeah, cross multiply the denominator to the other side. Okay, so if you cross multiply them, I'll get the left hand side, keep it as it is. I'll multiply the brackets here, 2 times x plus 4, and then plus by 3x minus by 6 equals x minus 2, x plus 4. Okay, multiply them and then simplify. I get 5x plus by 2 equals x squared plus by 2x minus by 8. So then put them together on the same side. I'll get this. Okay, since we are actually solving, from here you can try to do cross factorization, or if you want to skip the difficulties of factorization, you can immediately solve it with the formula negative b plus minus root of b square minus by 4ac, which will be plus 40 divided by 2 times a. Yeah, simplify this, you'll get the two answer, plus or minus. If you pick the plus, you're gonna get 5. If you take the negative, you're gonna get negative 2. Okay, yeah, do a little bit more details. Okay, so yeah, I just skip it because I'm running out of space. Yeah, if only I have enough space here, because 2017 the paper 2 they don't give you the gaps. You write it on a separate paper. Anyway, question 2. In 2014, the number of passengers passing through Changi Airport is this. Calculate the mean number of passengers passing through the airport each month. Okay, so this question here, the claim is in 2014. So we can assume this is actually the number of years. Okay, the number of passengers per year. Divided by 12 then, because they want the each month. 5.41 times by 10 power of 7 divided by 12. Okay, yeah, this one you just key in calculator. You'll get 4.51 times by 10 power of 6. Okay, yes, okay, I need to put them in terms of millions though. Okay, so then I just put 4.51 million. Okay, million is 10 power of 6. Okay, 6 amount of zeros is what you call as million. Next, the number of passengers passing through the December was 5.09. Calculate the percentage of the year. Percentage of the year's passenger that pass through the in December. So you want the December as a fraction of the whole month. I mean the whole year. Okay, give me a moment. This doesn't make sense. How come I got a million here? Oh wait, that's actually correct. Never mind. So I just take 5.09 million, which is 10 power of 6, divided by the total amount in a year. Okay, cancel. Okay, if you key this in calculator, you're gonna get 0.09408 blah blah blah. Okay, I need this to become a standard form. Put them into 3SF. Okay, then if I make it into standard form, for now I will get 9.408 times by 10 power negative 2. Okay, or that is, okay, actually you know what, I need to make it into percentage. I don't need to make it into standard form. Okay, they want a percentage, so this is actually 9.408%, or put it into 3SF, 9.41%. Okay, always put 3SF or 1 dp if they are actually about angles. 2b, in 2013 the number of people in Europe from Europe that visit Singapore is this. The number increased by 1.6% in 2014. So calculate the number of people. Okay, can I just take this number 1.591 times by 10 power of 6, multiply this by the percentage of increase, 101.6%. Okay, so key this in the calculator. Okay, I'll get 1616456. Okay, 1 million something. So I'll make this into 3SF because standard form. So then I need to put 1.616456 times 10 power of 6. Put them into 3SF, so I got 1.62 times by 10 power of 6. Okay, put down bracket 3SF lah. Okay, yeah, I didn't write it. From 2013 to 2014, the total number of international visitors decreased by 3.1%. In 2014, the total number was this amount. So, okay, so there is a drop, and after the drop, this is the amount of the people, okay, visitors. So, that means to say that this figure, 1.509 times by 10 power of 7, is equals to the decrease itself. Meaning to say, well, in 2013, think about it, this is actually the 100%. Okay, in 2014, the drop is 3.1, meaning to say it's 96.9% in 2014. Okay, yeah, so therefore, I can say that this figure, 1.509 times 10 power of 7, actually represents the 96.9%. Your job is to go back to the 2013, which the quantity has 100%. Okay, so in order to get this, I just take this number, multiply by 100 over 96.9. Okay, you can put the percentage here, but basically since both of them are percentage, they are going to be cancelled anyway. So you can actually just put it like this. Okay. Key this into calculator. Okay, I pressed something wrong. I got, okay, that's a lot of number. 1557. Okay, 2755.42. Yeah, of course, make it into standard form. Actually, they don't really say whether you need to make it to standard form or not. But since this question is about standard form, then just put it into standard form. 1.56 if you round it into 3SF, multiply by 10 power of 7. Yeah, there are 7 digits that I actually passed through. Alright, that's it. Next question. A number of bacteria are introduced to a culture. The number of bacteria in the culture T hours after they are introduced is given to be the formula of this. The table shows some corresponding values of T and Y corrected to 3SF. How many bacteria introduced to the culture in the start? Okay, in the start. When they say start, that means to say the time must be 0. Okay, hence I just put down into the equation 50 multiplied by 2 power of 0, which is 50. Okay, now that means to say that P is actually 50. Okay, no, that's not P lah. The P is different. P is the part B. Okay, for the part B, I'm going to sub in T as 0.5. So 50 multiplied by 2 power of 0.5, and that will be 70.7. Okay, put into 3SF, of course. The amount of bacteria. Okay, I don't know whether you can actually calculate the bacteria as decimals, but should we actually do a rounding? The question says that corrected to 3SF. So if we stick with what they actually really want you to write down, I just put 70.7. I mean, the question directs you to do that, right? So, well, might as well do that. Okay? Alright, so question C. Okay, this one is a bit problematic because I can't really draw it. Actually, I can. Yeah, but it will take some time. So, give me a moment then. Okay, but I'm not going to draw the full extensively accurate one because graphing is quite just graph lah. Okay, nothing much to actually do at all. Okay, in order for you to graph properly, remember to use all the coordinates here. Okay, and also important to know who is the horizontal and who is the vertical. Okay, the horizontal is T, the vertical is the amount of the culture, bacteria culture. Why they call it a culture? Does bacteria actually have a culture? Maybe they have a religions and they have like some Christmas event. I'm just kidding. Anyway, okay, so just take the look of what the graph looks like in the answer sheet, and they look somewhat like this. Okay. Also note that just now we found out the bacteria amount in the very beginning when the time is 0. The amount of bacteria is 50, right? So I should start from 50 here. Okay. The last number we recorded is 4 and 800. Okay, so just for reference in our picture here. Okay, maybe I'll just put it until here lah. Ignore the little bits that I actually didn't mark over there. Time is 4 here, and then this is 800. Okay, again, I don't draw into scale. Okay, I just want to discuss what you need to pay attention for this kind of question. Okay, draw nicely, use pencil, and well, I rather to use some curve ruler or a French curve. Drawing with freehand is only because you already mastered it throughout the years. Don't do freehand, otherwise you have mastered it. Okay? Yeah, anyway, part D. Use your graph to find out how many hours it takes for the number to reach 500. Okay, quite simple. For this question, you just need to locate, after you graph very nicely, locate the 500 here. Okay, and then just pull a straight line connecting to the curve, and then you pull it down to the horizontal. Okay, to find the exact coordinate of where it is landing. Yeah, I'm just estimate here. Okay, according to the answer sheet, should be 3.325. Okay, don't worry if you don't get exactly the same answer. Usually they will allow like around 0.5 difference at the biggest. Okay, or at least 0.1 difference. Which is why it's important, guys, to actually write it get the curve very accurately. Okay. Next, by drawing a tangent, find the gradient at the curve of 2,200. Okay, I'm just estimating again. Let's just say this is actually the 200, 2 seconds, and then the 200 is here. Okay, because it looks very convenient here. Okay, this is the 2,200. Now, I need to find the gradient. This is one of the most difficult to get correct. Okay, I mean, it's not difficult, it's just that everyone have their own kind of gradient, you know. So you need to put some kind of a straight line and make sure that the line into your own best judgment is actually tangent to the curve. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty subjective. I can think of it that this is actually quite tangent enough, you know. I just think of it that way. Then once I got the line that I feel, oh, this is good enough, I just need to make a triangle out of it. Okay, connect them into some kind of a right angle shape here, and then you need to do rise over run. Okay, gradient is rise over run. So you need to find out what's the number here in the y coordinate and this coordinate. You can find the height of the triangle. Likewise, this point over here, you can get the base of the triangle. Then you just need to divide them. Okay, so estimately you are going to get some kind of 140 lah. Okay, estimately. This is also very subjective. Okay, yeah. Anyway, what does this gradient represent? Okay, I think it's quite important to know what is it that you are actually doing, right? Now remember, what is the subject in this graph? Y is the number of bacteria, and then T is the amount of, is it hours or seconds? I think it's hours, right? Yeah. So you know that you are just taking the population of the bacteria divided by hours. Meaning to say this is actually the increase rate, the rate of increase of the bacteria. Okay, per hour. Okay, why is that so? If you go back to Sec 1 topic, ratio, rate, and speed. Okay, rate is a definition of something that is changing per hour, per second, per minute, per time limits. Okay, and you can see that hours is actually on the denominator. That's why you have to claim that this is actually the rate. Okay, rate of what? Bacteria growth. Okay, the growth of the bacteria per hour. You can say that also. Yeah. Alright, that should be good enough, I guess. Next question. 4. Finding the length of AB. Square root of -4 minus 4 bracket square plus by 10 minus -2 bracket square. Become plus lah. So then I got square root of 64 plus by 12 square is 144. So then I got 208 here. Correct this into 3SF, I got 14.4. Now, AMAT students, please simplify into 3SF. Do not leave your answer as search form, okay? Or even simplify the search. You must always put into 3SF, okay? At least for AMATs. That's what I heard. Okay, I mean, I never speak with the all-level examiners, so I can't like guarantee 100% of everything. But imagine that this is an EMATS question that they never learn search. So it should be quite logical that you have to set the answer as 3SF, not a search. Okay. Find the equation of the line AB. Well, I need the gradient of AB. Before that, I'll take 10 minus -2, which become plus, and then -4 minus 4. I'll get 12 over -8, -3 over 2. So then, equation of line is y equals mx plus by c. Okay. I can sub in 4, -2 into the equation. Okay, x equals 4 and y equals -2. That means to say that the c is actually 4 units. Hence, y equals -3 over 2x plus by 4. Okay, so nice. The equation of line is, the line P equation is this. So you have another equation here. Show that the line P does not intersect the line AB. Now, does not intersect, how does it actually happen? A graph of line will never intersect only because they are actually parallel. Okay, think about it that I make two different lines, okay, on different location, okay, such that they are actually parallel, okay, aligned, so to speak. They will never touch each other no matter what. Only if the slope changes a little tiny bit, like this, for example. Yeah, I mean, you think that it's not intersecting, right? But know that lines are always incredibly long. Okay, so if you actually draw long enough, they will actually going to touch each other. So to make sure that they are not touching, the gradient must be the same. Now this line here, I haven't find the gradient yet, so the gradient I can find it if I rearrange them properly. I got negative 3 over 2x. You see, the gradient are actually negative 3 over 2. Exactly the same like the gradient that we found from line of AB. Next, the line of Q is introduced to be this. Find the coordinate of the intersection. Intersection of two different lines, be it line or curve actually, you can do simultaneous equation just to get the number in. Okay, now you have 3x plus by 2y equals 5 here. Okay, this is a lot of ways to do lah. Okay, so up to you what you want to like to do. This equation here I'll multiply by 3. Okay, this is my choice. You don't need to really follow my method. Okay, the reason why I multiply by 3 is so that I got 6y here. Now, since I have a 6y already from the equation of line Q, I intend to actually substitute them. Okay, so then I got 9x plus by bracket 4x minus 37 close bracket equals to 15. So then I got 13x. The 37 I'll kick it to the other side, so then I got 37 plus by 15, which is around 52. And you divide the 13 away, I'll get x equals to 4. So then y must be 12 negative 7 over 2. Okay, yeah. So that's the coordinate. Okay, please put down as coordinate lah. So if you have to leave your answer, please put it like this. I think that if you just leave your answer like that, right, you will actually lost some marks. Okay, I think because the question asks you for coordinate, not the value of x and y. You need to put them in a coordinate presentation. Okay, or maybe some presentation marks lost lah. Yeah, you certainly don't want that to happen, right? Next, the line of AB. ABC, you have a triangle here, north and bearings and so on. Okay, what is not written in the picture is the bearing yet. The bearing, for now, the bearing of A from C is 64 degree. This is bearing. Bearing is the rotation clockwise from a certain location to another location. Okay. Bearing of B from C is 122. This is 122. So if I actually minus 122 minus by 64, I'll get the leftover 58. Meaning to say, this is a 58 degree here. Yeah, so then to find the length of AB, I just use a cosine rule, which is actually given in front of the formula sheet in the O level. So you should have no trouble copying the formula, right? Now, a little bit of tips, okay, for you when you are doing cosine rule is that please be careful. When you are summing the numbers, right, the square, right, 104 square plus by 135 square, you do it first, okay? You're gonna get 29,041. Okay, common mistake is that people actually just take this plus by this minus by this whole thing. That is absolutely wrong. Okay, remember that the last numbers here are actually being multiplied together. Okay, and you minus it with the first numbers. Do not plus, minus, and multiply immediately. You must make them separated. Okay, if you do that, you're gonna get the wrong answer. So just be careful. Okay, I got this thing cosine 58 degree. Okay, and of course, you can just key these terms in calculator now. Okay, I got 14,160.86706. I want AB, so I need to square root it. I'll get 118.999, which is 119 if you are putting 3SF in it. Okay, that should be good enough. Calculate the bearing of A from B. Here. So bearing, you must go all the way rotation here. This rotation is actually quite huge, and I don't think I'm going to be able to find it immediately. Okay, you know what? My suggestion is that don't look for that whole rotation. Okay, let me move this one away to the other side. so I can tinker with the picture more. My target is actually I will find this angle instead. Okay, I'm not the one that they are looking for, I know, but if I know this angle, I just take 360 minus by that and I'll get the answer. Okay, but how do we get there? Okay, I'm going to put a little bit more extra north direction here. Oh yeah, this is north direction lah. Okay, so by using letter U, interior angle formula, this one is 180 minus by 64, which is 116 degree. Okay, and then what else? Just now we have this as 119, right? Will be useful. Okay, my next strategy is to find this angle here. Now, finding this angle, angle A, CAB, angle A lah. Let's just call it angle A. Okay, I'm going to do sine rule. 135 over sine A equals 119 over sine 58. Okay, cross multiply, I'll get 135 multiply sine 58 divided by 119. So then if I do sine inverse, I'll get 74.17 degree. Okay, a little bit too much, but it's okay. Now, thanks to that, I'll be able to find this angle here. Okay, the remaining. So you take 360 minus 116 minus by the 74. I'll get 169.83. Okay, and again, by another letter U. Okay, and which letter U you might think? This one. Okay, I'm going to use interior angle again. So then the remaining angle down there is 180 minus 169.83. You'll get 10.17 degree. Yes, so the final step, 360 minus by 10.17. Okay, I got 349.8. Okay, let's just put it in 1 dp. It's angle after all, degree. Okay, yeah. My tips for this kind of question, always look for interior angle. It's like the favorite lah for bearing question. Okay. A boat travels in a straight line from point C to point B. Calculate the shortest distance from T to A. Okay, damn, I already draw a lot of things here. So I think I'm going to cancel a few of the working so you can actually see it a bit clearly. Okay, I mean you can just rewind the video if you need to look for anything that you lost lah, right? Okay, I'm going to erase this. Do I need this one? I don't need. Okay, traveling from C to B, and they are having a location where it's shortest distance from the boat to point A. Now let's just say it's here. You see, right, if you are looking for the shortest distance from a point to the, line, basically line of CB, right, it's always perpendicular. Okay, the boat must be around here. Okay, the shortest distance is when you are actually having a right angle triangle. Okay, now this right angle triangle is also equipped with, well, two triangles that we have here. You can take the triangle ACT, or you can take the triangle of ABT. I will take the triangle ACT. Okay, so pay attention on the triangle ACT. Okay, the question is asking you to find the shortest distance. I look for 80. Now, since this is actually a right angle triangle, I can do tuakaso. I'll use the 58 degree and the hypotenuse of 104 to find the opposite, which is 80. Opposite and hypotenuse, that will be sine of 58 degree, which is 80 divided by 104. So then I'll just multiply this, cross multiply. I'll get 88.19. Okay, and that's the length, the distance in kilometer. Do they actually say no lah? This is actually meter, huh? Wow, that's very close. Okay, right. So that should be good. Oh, I can put it 3SF lah, so it should be 88.2. C is a point on the base of a vertical cliff. Okay, so C is actually the location of a cliff. D is at the point on the top of the cliff above C. Find the angle depression of B from D. Okay, so let me draw this. Okay, this is a bit of different perspective. I call this like, you know, the horizontal point of view. The triangle that we see here is actually vertical point of view. Imagine that you are on the airplane looking below. That's what the shape looks like. So now I'm actually drawing it in a point of view of like the ship, for example. Okay, someone actually on the same eye level as the ground. So C is on the base, D is actually the top of a cliff. Point B is somewhere apart from C. We know it is actually 135 meters. The question says that the angle of depression of B from D is 27 degrees. So then, by using Tua Kaso, I'll use Tua. Tangent of 27 degrees equals to CD over 135. Yeah, just key your calculator. You'll get 68.8 meter, 3 SF. Next question. Vectors, again not tested in this year, but if you are looking at this clip in the future, well, I think you need it. Okay, so let's see. Express RC as much as possible, given that you are having all of this. This is 2 units to 1 unit. Meaning to say that if I can tell AR is actually a vector 2Q, and then RD is a vector 1Q. Okay, 2 units and 1 unit. And you see that BC and AD are parallel and also the same vector. Vector is like that. So even though they are located differently, if they have the same size and the same direction, then they actually have the same vector, basically. Okay, so I need to find the vector of RC. I just take RC as RD plus by DC. RD is Q and DC equals to AB. Therefore, I got Q plus 2P. S is a point on AD, okay, such that, oh no, T is a point on CD, okay. RC is twice of ST. Okay, we have this vector RC just now, and ST is actually twice of RC. And they are also parallel, by the way. Okay, show that the triangles of RCD and STD are actually similar. Okay, how do we actually locate it now? Okay, I'm going to put a red color for this point S and point T. Now, point S and point T is a line. If you connect them, line ST, vector ST, you can think of it that way, such that ST is technically half of RC. Yeah, because they say that RC is double of ST, right? So then ST is actually half of RC. So if I can only imagine the location, it should be somewhere around here then. Okay, so I'll say that this point here is S, and that point here is actually T. Okay, so what do we actually have to say about these two? They claim that RCD is a similar triangle with STD. Okay, so what's the property? Okay, well, this is actually triangle. So what we can say, first, they actually have a common angle. Okay, this angle D is actually commonly being used by them. Okay, and second, since they are actually parallel, how do I know? Again, they say that RC is 2ST, meaning to say that they are actually scalar multiple, and therefore they are actually parallel. Okay, therefore I can actually claim that they are parallel, and then this gradient, this angle equals to that angle here. Okay, corresponding angle, letter F, if you recall again from Sec 1. So by the property of AA, I can tell that RCD and STD are actually similar. Okay, as a matter of fact, they are actually on the ratio of 1 unit to 2 units. Okay, because of what they claim over here, RC is twice of ST, so the ratio is 1 to 2 also. Yeah, that's the statement you need to make. I will not type it. I mean, yeah, just hear to my voice, my sweet, beautiful voice. Anyway, part 2, find the ratio of area of triangle STD and the parallelogram of ABCD. area of STD. STD. Why do you call it STD? Not intended. I'm not the one who made the O-level, so please don't sue me. Okay, I'm just stating it. Yeah. Okay, so STD is we want the area. Okay, fine. By no means they are actually similar. Am I right? So if I want the area, right, STD is half times base times height. Parallelogram is base times height. Yeah, they have different base and different height. I know that. Okay, but what can we do then? Well, I can say that the base of STD is SD, vector SD. Okay, or just length of SD also can. Then the height is, let's just say height lah. Okay. Then the base of ABCD, the base is AD, and the height is actually, let's say, a bigger height, H. Okay, you know that the parallelogram is certainly having a different height, a little bit bigger. So now take a look. I'm going to update the picture a little bit. Okay, I'm going to put a line over here, and then I drop it down here, and I drop it down there. This is the two height basically, right? The height of parallelogram is outside the parallelogram itself. This is the capital H. Okay, let me move the T here. The height of the triangle STD is this H, the smaller one. I can say that H between the small and the big one, the small one is 1 unit and the big one is 2 units, because it's actually part of the two triangles that I just have a new one. You know, this is 2 right angle triangle here, you see. Okay, so you don't need to like really explain to them lah. The question is only 2 marks. Okay, remember that you must correspond with the effort that you have to put for the question, the marks that they actually offer. Yeah, half multiplied by SD. Okay, I still don't know what is SD compared to AD, so I'll just put it like this. Yes, I can put them together under one fraction, no problem at all. Okay, no problem at all, don't worry about it. I guarantee it to be okay. Yeah, SD divided by AD. Well, you take a look at the picture again. SD here, no, before that, right? Okay, this one is a little bit complicated, so pay attention here. Okay, pay a close attention here. Okay, so RD is actually 1/3 of AD, because you know RD is Q, right? And then AD is 3Q. So AD is 1/3 of AD, and SD is half of AD, right? Which means to say that, how about SD then? If I put SD in terms of vector, right, that means that SD is actually half of 1/3 of BC, of AD. That is 1/6 of Q. Okay, no, 1/6 of AD, sorry, my bad. Okay, meaning to say then this is actually just half Q. Okay, I just put half Q in the beginning lah. Why need to bother so much? It's just half Q. Okay. Wait, though I don't think that is actually better. The best way to write down here is actually just 1/6 of AD. Okay, why is that so? Because the moment I put 1/6 AD here, and then there's AD also on the bottom, they will cancel each other. Huh? Right? Quite sweet, right? And then the H, just now the height is actually 1 unit to 2 units. Okay, so then I'll get, okay, that's actually quite large. 1/2 times 1/6 times 1/2, that will be 1/24. Yes, 2 marks for this. I don't think it's really worth it, but you know, question is questions, marks are marks. If you can obtain it, obtain it. If you feel it's difficult, then you know, just put as much as you can and do the next question. Yeah. Next, oh, they are adding another point Q. They don't have enough points here already. And okay, Q is on BC. Cool. Triangle QAB and congruent to triangle of RCD. Okay. Okay. Can find QR as simple as possible. Well. Okay, so you need QAB and RCD. Okay, I can say that Q is somewhere around here. Okay, looks somewhat congruent, right? If I do it like this, somewhat. Okay, RCD. Okay, in that case, right, the distance from D to R must be the same as B to Q, meaning to say that this is actually, well, 1Q. Okay, if I put it a vector here, BQ is 1 unit Q, 1Q. Okay, then what do they want? Find QR. Okay. It's a vector QR, so take down QB. Okay, I want to take the long way, plus by BA, plus by AR. But the long way is the simplest way in this case, okay? QB is the opposite direction, so you need to put negative Q. BA is another opposite direction, so you put negative 2B. Then AR is actually 2Q. And therefore you got Q minus by 2B. And done. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Next question. Oopsie. Okay, an open box in the shape of a cuboid. The length of the box is 5 cm less than the length. Okay, they want to make it a bit more confusing. So let's just say that the length is x units. The height is actually 5 cm lesser than the length, x minus 5. The width of the box is twice of the height, 2 times by x minus 5. Write down the formula, the expression. Oh, already do it lah. The height and the width of the box. Okay, done already. Height and the width. Okay. The external surface area of the open box, meaning to say it doesn't have a lid. Okay, it only has the base, the sides, okay, 4 of the sides, and then it's open on the top. Find out the equation here using the information given. Okay, let's think about it. The base of a box. The base must be length times by W. And there is only one piece of them, okay, because there is no lid. It's an open box. Plus by 2 of length times height plus by 2 times by width times height. Okay, this is the two sides that makes the box. Okay, length times height and then width times height. Okay, and then, well, let's just multiply them. Use the algebra that we have so far. X times by, okay, you know what, I like to put this into 2x minus 10, you know. So I have 2x minus 10 here, and then plus by 2 x, and then x minus 5 plus by 2 width times by height. All of this equals to 48. You just need to expand this whole thing then. 2x squared minus by 10x plus by 2x squared minus by 10x and so on. They look alike. Oh man, this is tiring. So I have 4x squared minus 20x plus by 4x squared, 20, 20, 40 plus by 100. So then 48 equals 8x squared minus 100 10x plus 100. What a psycho. Okay, divide by 4, does it work actually? No, I want a 2x squared. If you want a 2x squared, then you need to divide by 4. Okay, I feel that I actually made a mistake because I'm going to get 2x squared here and 13 there, but 110 divided by 4 is not that friendly. I got 27.5, which is extraordinarily too large. Okay, give me a moment guys, let me take a look at what is wrong. Okay, I think I spot something here. This one here is actually 40, right? But I make it look like 90 just now. So yeah, 40 minus 20 is actually 60. Okay, that looks better. And when I divide this by 4, I'm gonna get 15. Yay! Happy. Yeah, 15x. Okay, the rest should be quite easy. Explain why the solution must be rejected. Okay, solution. We haven't even got the solution yet. They already asked you to find the solutions. Well, solution wise, I just use the formula again. Okay, negative b plus minus square root of, yeah, you know lah. Okay, let's just skip it. The answer will be, use your calculator if you know how to press it. I think all of you should know how to press this, right? You got to answer 6.5 or 1. Okay, now when they say that it must be rejected, okay, you might think that one of the answers should be negative, but both of them is positive. So is there anything wrong? Yeah, there is. Look at the height. The height is x minus 5. If I pick x to be 1, I'll get 1 minus 5, which is negative 4. The height cannot be a negative number. So you're gonna reject the 1. The 6.5 is the good answer that you're gonna take. Yeah, and with that you can find the volume of the box. Okay, length times height times width, which is 6.5 multiplied by 1.5 multiplied by 3, and that will be 29.25. Okay, that should be nice. Next question. Okay, I ruined the next question by writing too much from the question 7. The diagram shows a semicircle at the center of O. The radius is 30. So you have 30 here, 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 and here. Okay, I use pencil, guys. Remember, OM will be 20. Okay, so if I actually connect them all the way here, okay, that will be 20 here and then 10 over here. Okay, I just put some extra lah. Yeah, show that the angle of AOB. Okay, angle AOB. Now you have a right angle triangle here. So if I make a triangle or base of OA and M, right angle triangle here, this is 30 and this one is 20. I want to find the angle of AOM. Okay, just use Tuakaso. Call this theta. Opposite, so adjacent and hypotenuse. Cosine theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. Find the theta. You get 48.19 degree. Hence, angle AOB must be twice of those. 96.38. Okay. Since it's angle, I need to put in 1 dp. 96.4 degree. Okay, shown. Shaded area. I can't see the shaded area, but judging on how the picture looks like, I guess is the segment. Okay, I feel it's actually the segment lah. Okay, yeah, I believe this is the shaded area. So what do? Take the sector minus by the area of triangle. Okay, since they are actually using degree here, take 96.4 over 360 times by pi r square minus by triangle half AB sine C. Okay, that's the easiest way. You can find the base of AB first. You can also find the base of AB. Then the height of the triangle is 20. Then you use half times base times height. But I will not do that. I don't prefer that. Okay, just use the angle. Easier. Half times A times B times by sine C. The angle is, well, 96.4. Get the number done and you will get around 310. Okay, just calculation here, should be easy. The semicircle is the cross section of a water through of length of 1.5. Okay, you know what is true? Is basically, you know, the thing that how to describe it? Some kind of a container lah. Okay, the semicircle is the cross section. So the volume of the true is the semicircle multiplied by the length 1.5 meter. So this is actually 150 cm. Be careful. Okay, the shaded area is the water. Find out the volume of the water. Okay, now the volume of the water will be the cross section area of the water, which is the shaded area, times by length. Okay, I think they really have to make it a little bit more interesting. But you know, easy question is the best, so yeah, why not? Calculate the number of liters of waters that must be added to fill the true. Correct your answer into the nearest 10 liters. Okay, this one I say is quite a bit confusing maybe. But let's see. First, I need to find out the volume of the true. Throw. I don't know how do you call it. Throw? True? Very bad at English. So, I need to take the semicircle, half of pi r square, multiply by 150. Okay, let me key this first. 0.5 times by pi times by 30 square times by 150. You got 212,057.5. Okay, that's the volume. And then you minus off the number 212,057.5041 minus by 46,500. I got this. Okay, that's the remaining volume that you need to fill. Okay, this is in cm cube, by the way. Okay, because all of the numbers that I actually do here is in terms of cm, centimeter cube. Now, how do you convert centimeter cube to liter? You need to divide this by 1000. Okay, that means to say you got 165.55 liter. Okay, or 56 liter basically. Though the question asks you to put this into the nearest 10 liters, meaning to say you'll have to round up into 170 liters. Okay? Yes, let's move on. The speed of 80 cars past a checkpoint one morning were recorded. The cumulative frequency of the distribution of the speed. Okay. Calculate the median speed. Okay, the median is the middle of the frequency, so you're looking for the 40 here. You need to actually like trace them, and then you trace it back down there. You'll get 44. That's the median kilometer per hour. Interquartile range. I need to find the Q3, which is here. Uh, 47, I guess. And then Q1, 1/4 of the whole population, so from 20. That is 30. Wait a minute, I actually read the whole thing wrong. It's supposed to be 46 because 2 little box is actually 1 unit, meaning to say this is actually 42. Okay, good thing I noticed it sooner. So then Q1 should be here. Okay, let me just mark it lah. This is 46, this is 42. This one will be 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So then the median is actually 9. I mean median, interquartile range. My bad. The speed limit of the road is 50 km per hour. Estimate the percentage of the car that actually exceed the limit. Okay, 50 km per hour. So it's actually here. Round it down there. And then you need to... Oh, my line cannot make it. It's actually somewhere in the middle of the box lah. Okay, but I cannot make my line to actually connect immediately there. Okay. Well, what number is that actually? 60. This one here, one box is 2 units. So this one is to be around. Okay, it's actually here. Sorry, it's a little bit below. Okay, in the middle of the box. This one should be around 60, 62, 4, 6, 8, 70, 72, 73. Okay, I found it at 73 here. Okay, actually at 73. Meaning to say that there are 7 cars who are actually above the speed limit. Okay, this is the car that is above the speed limit. 7 cars. Okay, find the percentage of them. So 7 over 80 cars times by 100%. You'll get 8.75%. The speed of 80 cars passing the same checkpoint in the afternoon were recorded. The box and whiskers are given to be here. Make 2 comments comparing the speed of the cars in the morning and in the afternoon. Okay, what we need to do to actually do a good comparison is to find the median and the interquartile range. So the median is actually the middle of the box and whisker, which is 40. The interquartile Q3 minus by Q1. So from here, this is actually 41. Okay, 41, 42. Minus by here, this is 34. So then I got 8. Now, comparatively, okay, the median of the afternoon is actually 40, smaller than 42 in the morning. so people are more relaxed, I guess. Then for Q3 minus Q1, the interquartile range is also smaller, meaning to say that it's also more consistent. Okay, the number of cars who are actually doing the speed is more concentrated, more consistent in the afternoon. Okay, that's the two comments that you need to mention. Okay. The table summarizes the number of passengers in each of the cars in the morning. One of the cars is selected at random. Find the probability that it has no passenger. Okay, so 34 of them has no passenger. Okay, I need to use pen. So then I'll take 34 out of how many of them? Okay, total of the cars 34 plus 17 and so on, you'll get 80. Okay, so the probability is this. 2 of the cars are selected at random. 2 of the cars. Now this one will be very tricky. Pay attention. Okay, find an infraction the probability that both of the car have 4 passengers. 5 out of 80. Okay, I mean, well, 5 out of 80. Right, multiply by 4 out of 79. Why is it 4? Because 1 less than what you actually had. You already take 1. You cannot take the same one, basically, right? So the next one should be, well, lesser lah, 4. Okay? Then 79, of course, because the number of the cars was 80 of them, but you took one of only, so you are left with 79. Yeah? And of course, in the last thing you need to do is to multiply it by 2. Now, why do you need to multiply by 2? Okay, there is actually an explanation here. Imagine that the 2 cars that you pick are car A and car B. Okay? The first car you pick is A, the second car you pick is B. It's possible that the order actually change such that you actually take the car B first and then take the car A in the randomness of probability. Okay? Yeah. Right. But okay, so we actually leave it like this. Okay. Let me think for a bit. Okay, this one is actually quite difficult to really say whether it matters or not. Now I actually know in JC syllabus there's also probability, and this kind of situation should be actually taken into account. Okay, whether actually these 2 cars are actually considered to be exactly the same car or completely distinguishable. Okay, that is always the problem that we had in JC. Okay, the thing is that I should say that the number of cars should be unique though. I mean, how do you know that the cars is actually like a different model, for example? Okay, meaning to say that the car are unique. I can say this is car A, that is car B, the other car is car C, car D, and car E. So even though there are 5 cars, all the 5 cars are unique. Who you pick gonna matters. Okay, who you pick first also going to matter. In that case, you have to multiply by 2. If you take a look at the examiner's commentary for this paper, okay, they don't multiply by 2. Okay, they just multiply it all the way there. Okay, but I think for now I'll just stick with what the examiner is saying. No need to multiply by 2. Okay, so just get the number here as 1/316. Okay, I think in a way they actually are considered to be the same kind of a car because of the number of the passenger that you are actually having. Okay, you have A and you have B passengers, so I mean you have 4 passengers in the end, so the car is pretty much the same car. Okay, and then part B. Okay, one had more than 2 passengers. Okay, basically what I'm saying is that question A, I think I'm overthinking it. Okay, don't need to multiply by 2. Oh yeah, anyway, go back to the part B. One had more than 2 passengers and the other had fewer than 2 passengers. Okay, so more than 2 passengers are the 11 and the 5 over 80. Fewer than 2 passengers is here, which is 51. Again, multiply over 79. Okay, now this one here should be distinguishable. Okay, whether this car or that car is totally different amount of number of passengers inside of it. Okay, so you have to multiply this by 2. This one is a must. Okay, the previous part, okay, maybe we shouldn't overthink it. Okay, the car are pretty much considered to be the same car. Okay, and finally the last question. Nurul is planning to do a weekly exercise. Okay, I remember this question when it comes out, a lot of people freak out, and I don't know why people are blaming Nurul even though she didn't do anything. She's just trying to be more healthy, guys. Come on. Okay, so there is actually a training here. Optimal health benefits, 150 minutes of intensive training, blah blah blah. Okay, I think I'll read the box later on. I just want to see the question first. Okay, so she's planning to do this 1 to 20,000 scale. Nurul's route is this. Estimate the length that Nurul actually take. Okay, now this one here, you have to use a ruler and you need to count every single parts of the straight line over here. Okay, every single one of them. Use your ruler, like literally use your ruler. Calculate the centimeter that you can actually achieve from each of this line. Total all of them, okay, are supposed to be somewhere around 27.5 cm. Okay, now this is actually about the ratio, you see. So for every 27.5 cm, there is actually the real amount of centimeter. Okay, we are following the ratio of 1 to 20,000. So this number will be 27.5 times by 20,000. I'll get 550,000 centimeter, or that is 5.5 kilometer. Okay, that's the route that Nurul actually takes. Nurul aims to walk at 6.5 km per hour. Does Nurul meet the weekly target recommended or not? Okay, let's find out the time first. So, time equals to distance divided by speed. Okay, and then she also take 3 brisk walks. Okay, she do it 3 times, so you multiply by 3. Okay, 3 times longer than just, you know, 1 round of going. So this thing multiplied by 3, I got, well, somewhere around, I put in fraction 27/13. Okay, hours then. Well, that takes quite a long time. You can make it into minutes also, meaning to say that I just take this and multiply by 60. Okay, I will get 152.3 minutes, somewhat. Okay, now let's look at the commentary here. For optimal health, the aim is to accumulate 150 minutes of moderate or to moderate intensity training. Some people might accumulate 250 for preventing a weight gain. Okay, is she actually preventing the weight gain? Never say that lah. We never say that. She is actually trying to do that. Okay, so meaning to say that she is actually above the recommended hours, above 150, right? This is 152 minutes. Okay. To use more calories during the exercise, she is jogging. Okay, the same route 3 times instead. Okay, of walking. So still 3 times. She weighs 70. She estimates that she will be jogging at the speed of this. Okay, then she finds this also. Okay, there's this data here, and obviously we are going to use the bottom row and then the 70 kg. Okay, I don't know what is this 345 actually means. Oh, calories, yes, the amount of calories used. Nurul thinks that she will meet the target for the time and that she will use more than double the amount of calories. You mean to say more than double of 345, I guess? Okay. Okay, this is 30 minutes exercise lah. So we have 150 minutes exercise. Oh wait a minute, this is actually previous timing. Okay, so again, the distance that we are actually talking about is 5.5 kilometer. Okay, and then she's actually jogging for 9.5 km per hour. So to speak, the time is 5.5 divided by 9.5 multiplied by 3 hours. Alrighty, that will be what, 1.736 hours. Okay, but we need the minutes again lah, I guess. So times by 60 minutes, you'll get the amount of minutes as 104.21 minutes jogging. Okay, now the thing here is that this table here is for every 30 minutes of exercise, and she exercised for 104 minutes. Every 30 minutes actually going to use this amount of calories. So if I use a ratio here, 30 minutes calorie burns is what you call it, 345. and then I need to see 104.21 minutes. So what is the number? Take 345 times by 104.21 over 30. Yeah, ratio conversion like usual. I get 1198.415 of calories burnt. Okay. Okay. So that is the amount of calories she has when she's actually jogging. Now that actually I think about it, right, more than double the amount of calories. What is this question actually referring to? It cannot be 345, right? This table is just telling you that, okay, this is how long you exercise, then this is the calories you burn. Double the amount of calories should be, okay, you see the context here, to use more calories during the exercise. So she aims to use, she wants to burn more calories, so she decides to jog. This means to say that she's basically comparing whether she walks or she jogs. Okay, what's the comparison of the calorie burnt? Okay, just now the amount of the time that we use for the walking is 152.3 minutes, right? So if you use that 152.3 minutes of walking, and what's the speed of the walking? 6.5 km per hour. Okay, actually we are going to use this one then. Okay, 6.5 km per hour. The calorie burn is 150. Okay, so I'm going to say then I take the amount of the, okay, I can take the ratio again. So for every minutes and the calorie burn, every 30 minutes burning 150 calorie. You make it into 152.3 minutes, and then you are going to burn more calorie. Yeah, multiply again, use the ratio method. You're gonna get 761.54 calories. Okay, so this is the calorie that she's actually comparing, whether she's going to do double the calorie amount burnt or not. Well, 761 you times by 2, you get 1400. So the question about whether she's going to burn the double the amount of the calories, no, she's not. She's only like burning somewhat more lah, but doesn't reach double of the amount. Okay, and then about she thinks that she will meet the target for the time. Okay, so we are talking about the 104 minutes that she got from jogging. Okay, let's see here, what is the target of the time that she meant? Oh yes, this one, the vigorously aerobic activity, 75 minutes. Well, she did it for 100 minutes, right? Okay, which is more than 75 minutes. So yes, indeed, she's actually doing it more than the target of the time. Alright, so that's the last question. Guys, I think 2017 is the first time that the unique question actually comes out, I think. Okay, let's see about the 2016. Maybe I'm going to do it. Leave a comment if you like me to solve the 2016 as well, paper 1 and paper 2. And yeah, if you want, let me know soon, because next week is O-level, I guess. Alright, until then, keep up your practice. If you see any careless mistakes that I made here, leave down a comment below. And yeah, okay, just keep practicing. Until then, see you again. Bye-bye.